Okay. I'm Craig. I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm a 100-pounder. Good morning, beautiful people. We ask that you keep the focus on your recovery in the Overeaters Anonymous 12-step program. Qualify until 9:30. I will get a 5-minute warning. Great. Thank you for asking me to be of service. I started this program when it was across the street at the log cabin. It was a really ugly-ass, stinky, old, nasty building. This is really pretty and fancy. It's a little overwhelming. I started in 1988. I hit 15 years of back-to-back abstinence, so do the math. I went out 3 or 4 times, I don't remember. There are people in this room that I've called over the years. There are people in this room whose homes I've been to. There are people in this room I've cried to, I've laughed to, without eating for 15 years, without eating compulsively for 15 years. So if you're new and you walked in the door and you're going, how the hell can I do it today? You might not have raised your hand. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm just a human like all of you. I ain't God. I have no idea what I'm going to say, but the first thing that comes to mind is if you're like me, in that this morning I got my bowl of oatmeal. I always have. Same bowl. God bless. Measured out. The nuts measured out. Fruit measured out. And I looked at it, and there were 2 things that came to mind. This is going to end soon. It's sad. And it's not enough. I'm in the right place. I'm not in another 12-step meeting. I'm in Overeaters Anonymous. For me, I used food like they use alcohol or drugs. Okay, the room over there. It's really simple. Did I use drugs? Absolutely. Did I use alcohol? Absolutely. Name the other addiction, I used it. But I am a food addict. I'm a hardcore food addict. I decided to just open the book. I have no idea where it is. I just opened my big book. In the very beginning, I was told to cross out the word alcoholism and just use, it leaves CO, which is compulsive overeater. I was suggested to cross out drink and put in compulsive bite. And that's, done the work. Done the work. These are all my sponsees, right? I bring this this is tape. It's not to prove I'm better or worse. It's to prove that I work this. And every time I think I need to do more, my sponsor's like, enough. No, 3, 15, 25. So for the moment, I have 15 years, but for today I have 9 hours and about 12 minutes. That's it. I don't know what's going to happen after this. After this, I'm scheduled to speak with a sponsee. I have a Zoom or a FaceTime with a sponsee at 10:30. And I've never met this man. Don't matter none. Right? So likely I'm going to stay abstinent until then. I don't know what's going to happen after that. I do not know. If I stay spiritually fit and I keep doing this, I love the languages. I love this. I love being in this room. So I open to a vision for you. Yes, we've got a corker. He's just beaten up a couple of nurses. Goes off in his head completely when he's drinking or eating. My mood, when I'm eating, get out of my way. But he's a grand chap when he's abstinent. Though he's been in here 8 times in the last 6 months. I understand he was a well-known lawyer in town, but just now we've got him strapped down tight. I had no idea I was going to open to that. I had a business, a very successful business. I ate it away. Now, did the economy have something to do with it? Yeah. But a lot of it was, I smiled through many years of owning a business saying, I'm fine. And I started in 88. I was 199 pounds, never to get to 200. So I want to talk about, I bounce around a lot, get used to it. I was 27 years old, young, hips looking cool, dark hair. And I had a really loud voice. I had a broadcast voice. It was obnoxious. I won't even do it anymore because I had so many affectations I didn't know who I was. I did not know who I was. And I hid behind voices, I hid behind cars, I hid behind you name it. And I was speaking with a friend, and I said to her mom, who happened to be a professional, outside issue. It says we seek outside issues in the book. Right? Or, not outside issues, we seek outside help. But that is an outside issue, right? And there's a reason I say that, because I was speaking with my friend, and I was like, I can't lose weight, but I can't afford it. Now, mind you, $199. And she said, well, my mom's a therapist. I said, yeah, but I can't afford it. And her mom says, I have a friend who's a therapist. I said, yeah, but I can't afford it. Whether I could or I couldn't, that was my thing, right? And she said, well, what she does is, you are meeting with her, there's a one-way mirror, and there's a classroom watching you. And in lieu of payment, that's the payment. And for some stupid reason, I said, fine, I'll see her. Now, brought up a very reformed Jew, but I was never, the spirit of things I didn't get till I was in these rooms, right? So the idea of a higher power, the idea of something higher than me, this is higher than me, you are higher than me. I don't know if it's inside, I don't know if it's outside. I said, okay. So I went, and there I am, a guinea pig, with this room of strangers watching me. And I guess I really needed help. So she said, name 3 things that you want to change in your life. I said, my career, my job, and dating. She says, which one do you think you can change today? I want to lose weight. She goes, great. Here's a paper. We used to have, pieces of paper. For those of you who are young, this is paper. Right? So she literally handed me a piece of paper and said, this is how I work my life. I said, what do you mean? She said, I go to Overeaters Anonymous. I said, what is that? She said, well, my husband is sober many years in Alcoholics Anonymous, and my German blood came up. I said, I am not an alcoholic. And she said, neither am I, but I am with food. I said, oh. And so the higher power started coming in before I knew it. And she said, I do it with food. And I started asking her questions. She said, that's an outside issue. If you want to go to a meeting, I suggest it. It's worked for me. And I kept asking. She says, no, this is therapy. So she taught me right then something separate. Thank God she did that. So the next night I went to a meeting, and it was at La Cienega Park. And I walked in, and it was a room of really beautiful, thin women, and one fat dude in the corner. And I was fat because I was fat. That's just... And I beelined over to him because I could relate to him. And what I didn't know was it was an anorexic bulimic meeting. What am I doing here? The minute people spoke, I went, oh, wow. Same issue. I didn't know it was a disease at that time. I did not know, but I soon found out. So once again, when I woke up this morning and I looked at the oatmeal, same oatmeal I've had for many years because I love it. It's not enough. It's going to end. Yeah, okay, fine. So when I get out of bed in the morning, I pray to God, and I just go, God, whether it's a formal meditation and prayer, or whether it's God, before I put my feet on the floor, just freaking take this. I cannot do this alone. And about 3 years ago, I called my sponsor, who had, I have 15 years, right? I'm professional. And he has 7. Not enough. He's perfect for me. I'm dark, he's light. He's bright. And I called him and I said, I don't know about God. One of my first sponsors, who lives back east with his wife, still in program. We very rarely, but we still keep in contact, still abstinent after 1,000 years. We were at Roxbury Park. We're walking, and I was talking about God, and we're talking in the late 80s, and he said, and I was talking about higher power and God and Judaism and all these ethereal things, and he said, if you could touch, feel, smell, or see God, you wouldn't need faith. I thought, wow, makes sense. So when I called my sponsor and I told him I needed some God, he said, it's your day off, right? I said, yeah. He said, okay. Do you like the beach? I was like, yeah, get to it, hurry up. And he was very dramatic, and I have no drama in my personality, of course. And so he said, go to the beach, park your car, walk on the sand, get in the wet sand, get your feet in the water, and try stopping the waves. And if you can stop the waves, you don't need a higher power. You don't need to work with me or anybody else. You don't need to read. You don't need to meditate. You don't need to pray. You don't need to keep working the steps. Good luck. And then, of course, I thought. And I didn't tell him that. He knows it's coming out. So, 88, I get in, and I got 11 years. And I got to 167 pounds. That's skinny for me. Right? At the time, I was 5'10". Then I got to 5'7". Then I got a new spine last year, and now I'm 5'8". And so going through 2 major surgeries, abstinent, on oxy, crazy, right? Going into the hospital, writing my list of what I cannot eat, crazy. I will go to any lengths because I don't want to die. So if you're new and you're going, I got a food issue. I hope maybe you just have a food issue. I was dying. And I'll get back to losing my business, losing my midlife crisis little red sports car because I couldn't afford to keep it. I need to sell it to pay this, to pay that, to pay that. So I will use anything. But it all starts with the food. It all starts with what is on my plate. Do I have a sober plate of food committed to another? If I am powerless, that doesn't mean I have a little power. Powerless. I have no power over compulsive overeating. How do I know? Because I've gone out 3-4 times when I said, you don't get it. You don't get it. In New York, Manhattan is a great town to binge in. You know what? So is freaking Tulare, California. I'll binge anywhere. I don't know where that came from. You know, people, I binged because sunny out. Great. It was raining yesterday. Great. My plants got watered. I think I'll eat. I have to go to work. I think I'll eat. It doesn't matter. I'm an addict. If I have a feeling, I will eat over it. If I don't work the tools, if I don't work the steps, if I don't do today what worked yesterday. So if I have a newcomer, I don't know what to do today, blah, 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 blah. What did you do yesterday? We'll share about it. I'll say, well, why don't you try doing that today? Oh, that's simple. Just keep it simple. Somewhere up. It's got to be up here somewhere. Somewhere. Keep it, and for me, it's keep it simple, stupid. You know? So, I've worked the steps. I am thinking of, well, I'm not thinking of, I'm putting it out, I'm being recorded. Oh my God. I'm going to call my sponsor today, and I want to work on 6 and 7. We got a lot of character defects coming up. There's a lot of fear. Fear is not going to help me. So I get to tell my sponsor, what do you think? And whatever he suggests, I will do. If he says this is not the right time, great. Great. I suggested to a new sponsee that he weighs every 30 days. Went on a cruise, stayed abstinent, called me last night, said, I was bet $100 that I'm going to lose weight on this cruise. I know I did, so I'm going to weigh. How do you think? How is that for you? I said, well, you made a commitment of weighing once a month to me. If you want to weigh, it's your program. I'm not going to stop you. But if I commit to my sponsor to do something and I break that commitment, what's next? I'll have one piece of See's candy. I can do it. My first apartment, I'll never forget, I had a roommate, and I'll only say they smoked a lot of dope. Please. We did. And his girlfriend worked for a very fine chocolatier, Beverly Hills. They're still there. And there was a pound of truffles. And he woke up in the morning, he said, where'd the truffles go? A pound! Then a lady worked with me, and she thought she'd be very sweet, so she brought sugar-free. You ever had a pound of sugar-free chocolate? I had to go home, and I couldn't go in the next day. So for me, sugar-free, fat-free, this free, that free, it is a gateway to my drug. It's a drug. Name it, I used it. And I had once again, and I was like to preface, if you are new, bless you, if you are new, I had a neighbor across the way from my old business, and he said, what, when I came back in 1988, I was in my driveway in my little red sports car. So bless you. So I'm going to say the numbers. 272. So I started at 199. I went down to 167. I got back to 272. I will never get over 200 pounds, I said. That's why I started here. Okay? And I did this for a long time, and people would say, what step are you on? Who are you working with? I never knew. I kind of had sponsees. I kind of didn't. I had sponsors. My first sponsor, I'll never forget. He's still around. He's like 143. And he was married to a man. This is back in the 80s. I don't think they were legally married. Married to a man, twin Mercedes, and a house in the hills. He had what I wanted. Literally. It said to get someone who has what you want. So, back to my coming back this time. When I was in my driveway, I was 272 pounds. That was my last weighed weight. I think I was more. In a Mazda Miata with a manual, not easy. It's my play car. And it was a dream car. It was wonderful. It was my joy. It was my I loved it, but I couldn't keep it because I told you. And I was in my driveway, and I stopped, and I was breathing heavy. I'll never forget like it was yesterday. And something in me said, so if you're wondering what a higher power is, I don't know what happened, but something in me said you were dying. Physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It was like, whoa, where'd that come from? And I called. This is only my story. I had been in two automobile accidents within a week, rear-ended. And I was seeing a chiropractor. And on his door, what I saw was chiropractor, nutritionist. I didn't want to see that second word. I knew I didn't know how to eat. I didn't know how to live my life through the way I was eating, so I called. Thank you. And I said, Laura, I need help. I need to see Ron immediately. She said, oh, chiropractor? I said, no, food. She said, oh, okay. I didn't know what I was doing. And I walked in, and I was like, here's what's going on. I can't stop eating. And he did muscle testing. Nothing to do with program. This is what happened to me. This is the message that I got. I don't suggest it. I don't recommend it. This is my story. Because I didn't know what to do. And I called a very dear friend who is now my great-grand sponsor, and I said, I got this food plan from this guru. He's a nut. He told me what I'm allergic to. He said, was it your plan? I said, no. He goes, fine. As long as it's not your plan, do what he told you to do. Okay. So I started losing weight very fast because the way that I was eating, the copious amounts of food I was eating, the hours I was eating it, the way that I was eating it, there's a woman who says, drunks kill people. We don't in the car right now. All the time I had fast food and I'm doing this and I went to get the French fries that I knew I would not get till I got home, but I turned my head. Could have killed someone. Right? So he said, listen to what he says. I listened to what he said. I lost weight. And my neighbor at work said, and people at work, it was very funny, mostly at work, they're like, who did your surgery? What diet did you go on, this and that? And and then my neighbor really said, what did you do, Craig? I said, do you really want to know? He said, yeah, I do. I thought, what does it say? We have to help another. So I told him. He said, what does it mean to be a compulsive overeater? I don't understand it. I said, what do you do when you get a box of cereal? He goes, I don't like cereal. I said, you're an idiot. Right? I said, I eat the box. And his face went. I said, what do you do when you get a loaf of bread? He goes, I make a sandwich. I said, I eat the loaf. Do you have any more questions? I'll never forget his face. Because a normal person doesn't get that. We do. Most likely. Right? I see shaking heads. Even the dog is shaking her head. You know, I cannot give this gift away. To the best of my ability, I can share what has worked for me. I cannot give advice. I can give advice. I'm great at giving advice. Believe me, professionally, I give advice. Right? I get paid for that. Pretty damn good at what I do, I think, and because I love what I do. It's interesting. Professionally now, I work for somebody else. I had my own business for many years, and I was hired 2 days. This is all God. I can't believe I'm talking about God. 2 days before lockdown, I started this job, and I knew, once again, I knew they'd lay me off. And I'm still there 5 years later. I love it. Love it. Abstinent. We just took my mom out of her 30 years of her home, popped her into board and care. One of the hardest things I've ever done. My sister and I never had a relationship. We now do. Beautiful. Abstinent. I'll see her tomorrow. I'm picking up a friend. I get the same damn salad I get every Sunday, which I love. No blue cheese, extra carrots. Yeah, Craig, we know. You know, because it's abstinent, because it's committed. My abstinence date is October 17th, 1988. I have a sponsor. I have sponsees. My home meeting is tomorrow morning, 7:30, Studio City. If you haven't been, good meeting. It's not so far over the hill. You know, my life is really good today. Do I get depressed? Yep. Do I get sad? Yep. Do I get really excited and elated? Yep. What I did last night, I went to an event. A lot of people. I'm trying to get involved, and I felt extremely uncomfortable afterwards. What is that? That used to mean a binge. Really easy. I picked up the phone and I called a fellow. He wasn't there. Didn't matter. I got it out. I got to get it out. Today, after this, as I said, 10:30, Zoom with a sponsee or FaceTime with a sponsee. Go to work. I work 12 to 5. You know, I work on the weekend. The industry I'm in, we're open on weekends. Fine. I work. I'm at service. I'll go home, abstinent meal, get up in the morning. It's like, what am I going to do today? Thank God I'm here. Thank God this is a gift. I made it on time. I'm abstinent. Beautiful group of people. I get to hear all of you, whatever the format is. I think it's the same as it was 1,000 years ago. You know, I'm now 62. Good God. I started when I was 27. So I've been here longer than I wasn't here. And before I'll wrap it up. Before this, thank you. Before this, for 1 year, I said, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm great. Somebody who was probably 300 or 400 pounds, my neighbor at work, looked at me. He said, how you doing? Since David died, my best friend had died. I said, I'm fine. How are you? With a big smile. And he said, really? I didn't see it. I was abstinent and I had gained 100 pounds. I was abstinent. I am now abstinent. And damn grateful to be here. Thank you for allowing me. This is time for questions only. There is no sharing at this meeting. Oh. If you need to share, please do so with any of us after the meeting. Also, please remember that the opinions of moi are my own and not those of Overeaters Anonymous, thank God. As a whole, when asking questions, you need not identify yourself. You may. Please remember, if you ask a question, your voice may be audible on the OA podcast. Is there anybody who has a question?
Yes. Two, but I'm just going to ask one.
I want the best one. The most important.
So thank you, first of all, Craig. And so I'm curious about your mom, because I've heard you over the years and the emotional ties and how you're working the program to deal with that. It must be hard.
Love it. How am I working the program to deal with an aging, an ailing, failing mom? Is the question. First person that comes to mind is, I won't say the name, someone who has gone through it. I'll call him. And I call people who have been through an experience that I'm going through abstinently. I deal with my sponsor, and I will tell him what is going on, and he may make a suggestion of what behavior to do, what step to take, what active. So usually it is, I hate this, it's not about you. Yeah, but it's my mom. It's not about you. And I have to hear that to know that I have to be of service to another. And the minute that my head gets in really bad place, the minute that a sponsee calls me or one of you all calls me, I'm out of that. So that's usually what it is just to be of service. Thanks, Michael.
Can I ask another one?
Yeah, baby.
6 and 7, you mentioned you're going to work them. Tell us how you worked them in the past. How does that work specifically?
Out of the book, basically writing them down and then asking God to remove them when He's ready. I write them usually pen to paper. I haven't worked them with this sponsor yet. Thank you. I need it.
Thank you for your share.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with the judgmental talk in your head on awakening?
Oof. I never have it. What I do, I look at it as the Flintstones cartoon. Fred had kazoo. Good guy, bad guy. Good guy. And literally when it starts, I go, oh, kazoo's here. I said it to my sister yesterday. It was really funny. The fact that we're talking is really funny. But I said that to my sister. I said, Kazoo is with you? She goes, oh my God. So I know that's my disease. The book talks about our brains are different. My brain's different. It's just different than that of a normal person. So I usually laugh at myself, and I'll take a deep breath. One breath, 30 seconds of meditation, picking up the phone, once again, contrary action. But if there's a thought that keeps coming back and keep coming back, my last sponsor used to tell me, we do not have the power to block thoughts. So if I try to block it, I'll eat eventually. So it's there. It's there. What am I going to do with it? And I ask my sponsor. I tell him, here's what's going on. What do I do? Hope that answers. Cool. Yes.
Can you talk a bit about the traditions and how they weave their way in your life?
Personal recovery depends upon OA unity. Interesting. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon OA unity. Getting back, because this is what's going on today, getting my mom from her home into board and care, it was costing an exorbitant amount of money to have private care, an amount that blew me away when I actually did the numbers. I'm a denial guy. I don't want to look at numbers. I looked at the numbers and I went, nobody can afford it. So I was speaking to an old-timer, and he's got 39 years, I think, in another program, and about 7 years in ours, or 6 or 5, whatever it is. He's such a kernel of experience, strength, and hope, and he said, it's our common welfare should come first. If I'm draining myself, if I'm draining my sister, if I'm draining, no. Our common welfare. So here, our common welfare should come first. We have one ultimate authority, loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Something higher than me. So, I could go through each one. I love them. Thank God we have them. I like that in some meetings, like in this one, sometimes it is pointed out in a meeting, we don't talk about this, we deal with this, we focus on overeaters, and we need them. Thank God we have them. Yeah.
Thanks for your lead. It was great. Do you mind sharing what your abstinence is and also navigating food behaviors around that abstinence?
Absolutely.
When things happen, do you change your abstinence ever? How does that work?
Absolutely. The only change I do in my abstinence is adding foods to my food plan that no longer work. I never say, I think I'm going to add something back in. Has not been my experience. So, 3 meals a day, 2 optional snacks. At one time it was 2 mandatory snacks. Now it's 2 optional snacks. Rarely do I have them just with my schedule. I do not eat white flour, actually pretty much any flour, well not pretty much, any flour, corn products, dairy, soy. I just don't, because someone said you're allergic, and I said, I think you're crazy. He said, fine, give it a shot, and it works. So that's what I do. I don't eat after dinner. It's actually not part of my abstinence. That's something that it just works better for me, right? There are certain things that I measure. I have one plate of food. I take a picture of my food, and I send it to my sponsor because it works. I'm powerless. So if I'm hiding it, it doesn't work. So I take a picture of my food. I pretty much think that's it. If something's coming up, I know. A perfect example is we had an event at work, and, normal people can nibble. It's great. To watch them is fascinating. To take one and a half of and leave a half, it's like, oh, it's too rich. I laugh. And they all know now, I get my food, sit in my little corner, I inhale it. I don't have a timer. I don't say I have to take 8.5 minutes, right? I inhale my food. My dinner is done. I can be there for my clients, my patrons, and those that I work with and be of service. So I take care of my food. My grant sponsor now is in the industry. So when he goes to a shoot or a photo, whatever they call it, there's like this big buffet of anything. He takes his own salad just because it works. And I do very much the same. Last night I had an event that I had to go to. So I got my lunch, I brought my dinner, had my dinner at my desk, I went to the event, I didn't have to worry. So I hope that kind of helps. In the back, please. Hi.
Hi, thank you very much. Can you tell me a little bit about when it all started for you, like in your childhood, like what shifted and changed? Is there a point where you realized, oh, that's when I started to use food?
Repeat the question, Chris.
Yeah, is there a time in my childhood that I can go back to, or in my life that I remembered I used food? It's a challenging question. I don't know if I have an answer to that. I can't. I do know that when my father died, I asked people at the time, my abstinence included sugar-free, so I asked people to bring little pink boxes of sugar-free that I could eat. And I know that no longer works for me. I don't do sugar-free. So I remember that, there's an emotion. My father died. I have to smile and be and that was in 93. So I had 5 years of abstinence. So I was new and, smiling and everything was great. So I needed that. Think of it. I needed that to get through things. Make sure you bring those pink boxes for me to use. That's the only thing that really comes to mind. Atusa.
Yeah. I watched you so gracefully go through your surgery. And I'm just wondering, how did you keep hope amidst pain and brokenness and difficulties in your body?
How did I keep hope through pain of surgeries? I honestly... There are loved ones who say, we still have your recorded voicemails on Oxy. I made so many phone calls. It's not even funny. And I don't remember a lot of the surgeries. I sold a car to someone that I forgot. He and his girlfriend were in my home. I said, I'm getting a new car. He goes, great, I'll buy the old one. And I said, okay. And then I sold it. I traded it in. Do not remember. But he's a guy who I called, right? My sponsor is the first person that came to see me. Didn't tell me he was coming. He just walked in. It was like, oh my God, and started to cry. I cried a lot. Part of how I got through it was this is on tape. I don't want to use the word, and making amends afterwards. I had to make an amends to a doctor. The fact that he was extremely inappropriate didn't matter. My behavior was really wrong, and I made the amends because I talked to my sponsor and I said, I don't feel right about this. He goes, make the amends, and I did it. So I just worked that. I hope that answers. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for your share, Craig. That was really thanks for your service. You talked a lot about using the tool of the telephone.
Yeah.
I have the hardest time picking up that phone. Have you ever struggled with it, and what do you say to people like me who struggle with it?
Who are you going to call today? One person.
Well, I'll call my sponsor. Somebody else, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
If you're willing, pick someone before the end of the meeting and let me know who they are. That's my answer. That's it. One little person. Especially if someone's, they're not going to pick up. The idea of picking up the phone. I didn't say you have to talk to them. The action of doing something you're scared or don't want to or shouldn't or it's not right or because here's my sponsor talking. In 1978, I called someone and they told me in 1983, and he'll say, Craig, March 15th, 2025. Who are you going to call? That's it. So you got 13 minutes to let me know who it is.
Talk a little bit about your higher power and how you connect.
Yeah, absolutely. I laugh at myself when I think, can I talk about my higher power and how I connect? Before I get out of bed, usually it's God, I can't do this. Please do. Then I go, get my coffee, sit on my sofa, read at least one meditation book. Usually open the big book to any page. Often in the morning I will speak with sponsees. Monday, Wednesday, Friday I speak with 2 sponsees. Tuesday morning I speak with my sponsor at 6 a.m. Thursday I go to a men's group at 7:30. I usually make that meeting. Saturday morning I have 2 sponsees now. Sunday morning I go to a meeting, a fellowship, and sometimes another meeting. That's how I do it, through other people pretty much, through the book, and often it's just going, and I flash back to a sponsee I worked with, and he goes, I can't meditate. I said, you got a minute? You want to go in the closet with me? He goes, I'll never forget, it was in the valley. We walked in the closet, we closed the door, and I set my timer for 30 seconds. We closed our eyes, and I said, you just meditated. And it's just like your call. Who are you going to call? That's it. 30 seconds, 10 seconds, just simple. For me, if you say to me, meditate, I don't have 3 hours, right? Who said 3 hours? Just close your flippin' eyes. Take some contrary action and go, and it usually, a laugh comes when I think I can do this alone. That's how. Yeah.
How did you start keeping your commitment to yourself, to your sponsor, to your fellows when you first came into OA, and still today? How do you keep those commitments? How do things turn from just like empty promises into actual commitments?
Yeah. How do I keep my commitments? Imperfectly. OA commitments I keep, I will say. In the last couple of weeks / months, I forgot I was the secretary of a meeting, and I forgot I was the speaker of a meeting. And I woke up to the fact that I called my sponsor and I told a few fellows, excuse me, okay, something's wrong. And I caught myself. Because in light of what's going on with my mom and my drama and life, food hadn't changed, but life did, and I stopped. And it was sort of it was a wake-up call. It's the same thing for me as if I'm looking at a bagel and I want to make love with that bagel, there's an issue. Because normal people don't have conversations with food. I do. So it's the same kind of thing. So how do I do it? Imperfectly. But I know that if I don't keep a commitment, the next thing I will do is not another commitment. And it's going to get to food. I'm going to gain 100 or 2 pounds. I won't see any of you. When I was happy for a year, I didn't want to see any of you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you about programs. So if that will happen, So I do my best to keep the commitments. Yeah. Time's up.